Hey, Unconventional Lives crew. This week we're talking about how we've lost a combined 100 pounds and we've kept it off for 3 years.
Yeah, I can hear the people scrambling to find a new podcast as we speak.
No! Do not change that channel.
Okay.
If we can do it, you can do it.
Do as she says and no one will get hurt. Trust me. Quick, let's get going before they change their minds.
We're glad you're with us.
Hey, I'm Craig.
And I'm Kelly.
Join us as we share unfiltered, empowering conversations about love, marriage, fitness, travel, and living boldly.
Tune in as we prove you can have it all and live an unconventional life.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Unconventional Lives show, and we're sure glad you're here with us.
Absolutely.
We have a topic today, which we get a lot of questions about.
We do.
Which is, how do we do it? How do we lose 100 pounds combined? I lost 65, you lost 35.
Right.
And we've managed to keep it off.
Right.
You know?
For almost 3 years.
Almost 3 years.
Yeah.
And we're not done. We're a work in progress. Yeah. We are not bodybuilders. We are not fitness experts. We're not doctors.
No.
We just stayed at a Holiday Inn last night and we're feeling like we know stuff all of a sudden.
No, we're just everyday people, an everyday couple.
Yeah, we are. Yeah. And
that's what's great. That's what's great.
And we also didn't do any, we didn't do any shots or pills or kooky diets or, anything other than a few basics, like got our diet right, started moving, right, worked on fitness and sleep and
first and foremost, we got our hormones in check and got those back at balance.
Hormones, yeah. And I apologize once again. I probably should. You know what? I don't apologize anymore. I'm going to talk about hormone. Every show, you're going to hear the word hormone replacement therapy.
Absolutely.
And here's a great example. We have friends of ours, and they're similar to our age.
Right. In their mid to late 50s.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he went to his doctor, tested low T, low testosterone, started doing shots.
Yes.
And
testosterone shots weekly.
And he's feeling great. He's like a new man.
Yeah. Lots of energy.
And we hadn't really had a detailed discussion about it with them, and you were having a conversation with her, and she confided in you, like, man, I'm feeling really flat. And just not great right now, and I think maybe we just assumed they were already done their hormones,
right?
And we had actually just talked about this on our last show, that we have seen instances where the one party or the other, male or female,
either one,
generally the man goes and gets, because it's just like, hey, everybody, all guys over 50 are going to have low T. So it's easy to do. It's easy to get. Most doctors would be like, here's your vial, here's your needles, give yourself a shot once a week.
Right.
Or do pellets. And so he had done it and she hadn't. And it was actually kind of a head scratcher for both of us to hear, like, why aren't you doing it? And she's like, should I do it?
She said she didn't even know what those were. She did not even know what bioidentical hormones were. And which, come to find out, is very common. A lot of people don't even know what bioidentical hormones are.
Yeah. And it was like, wait a minute. Just assume, and we have just assumed, because they're a pretty go-getter couple. You know? And
they're a power couple. And I was just assuming, she looks phenomenal. I assumed that she had been doing them for years. And when it came up in our conversation, I confirmed her age, that she's in her mid to late 50s, and she's gone through menopause, and she was just kind of like, just kind of flatlined about anything, really. She wasn't really excited about, doing a lot of things. And I'm like, well, what about your hormones? And she said, well, what about them? And I'm like, girl, you need to go get those checked. Clearly that is not at an optimal level. If your husband's raring to go and having, excitement to go try new things and go new places, and you're kind of like, it was, that could be an issue in their marriage.
To like, gosh, like, it's,
they're not on the same page.
they're not on the same page.
No.
And I think that is incredibly dangerous. I actually feel like if you're going to do hormone replacement therapy and you're not going to do it together, you got to make sure you talk about it and have some sort of like, hey, because one of you is going to get pretty frisky and feeling good and like going to the gym and working out and feeling great. And the other one's going to be like, you know, like, what's wrong with you? I mean, I do feel like it could be a recipe for disaster in marriage.
I agree.
Because, you know, people do dumb stuff when they're not thinking straight.
But I did talk to her just this morning, and she did let me know. She's like, I found a doctor, and I'm got an appointment, and I'm starting the whole thing at the end of this month, and it's going to be great. I'm like, yes, it will be.
Yeah, I think it'll be life-changing for her.
It will be.
And them as well, too. So, you know,
for their marriage.
I know we talk about hormones a lot, but you know, that is our the one thing you're always going to hear from us. And I'm never going to apologize for it again, because that drove it home for me that there are people in our own sphere who, you know, we just assumed that they had already handled that, and one of them had and one of them hadn't, and it was becoming an issue. So
it's so vitally important.
It is
just to go and get a full panel done, including your thyroid, all of it, and just cover your bases and find out where you are and what options there are for you. I mean, there are so many different ways to address lower hormone levels, which is a normal stage of aging.
Well, and I think for women, it also becomes, it's sort of like, hey, that's just normal. And we've talked about this before. We've talked about it on our last show. Like, don't let your doctor say normal. When he says normal, say normal for what age? Well, normal for your age.
Right. But that's not ideal.
It's not ideal.
Normal,
what is ideal?
Normal's not going to be ideal or sexy.
Right.
Normal's it's going to be awful.
Well, and we just both got our blood test results back. We test every time we get pellets, 30 days after you test, to kind of figure out where your levels are. And it was interesting looking, because our hormone levels on these panels that we get come back like high, you know. But then you look at like, well, what's median? And it's like, oh my gosh, it's like median for my age is like 300, 350. It's like, bleh. I started out at 350. I was at 250, and it was like, bleh.
But the negatives that go with that hormone level is it can really affect you. I mean, it can affect your mental health. It can affect, you know, your emotions. It can affect all of that because
weight gain, brain fog,
just irritability. I mean, how is that going to be an enjoyable, you know, last third of your life?
Right.
To have to deal with all of that, and it just keeps going downhill. No, thank you.
Yeah, no. So hormones, get your hormones checked, people. And even if it comes back okay,
that's like the start.
It is. It should all roads lead to hormones in our books.
Yes.
So get that done.
Yes.
And so that's first and foremost.
Yeah.
So for us, once we got our hormones straight, we've talked about this before, so we're not going to go into great detail. You can listen on other shows. We've talked about Whole30 was kind of a kickoff point for us.
Right.
And it wasn't, we didn't go through some like exhaustive search to find the perfect thing.
No.
And I also feel like really, I mean, you know, we're not sponsored by Whole30 in any way.
No.
It was just what we did. And
it kind of fell in our lap from a friend who did kind of like, hey, let's do this next month challenge.
Yeah.
And we kind of,
no, I said, that's stupid. I don't want to do that.
Right.
And she was like, quit being a little bitch and try it. You can do anything for 30 days. Don't be a crybaby. And I was like,
So we jumped on board with that.
We jumped on board.
Yeah. And it was amazing how after the first 10 days, it became very, very easy. The first 10 days is a struggle because it's basically an elimination diet for 30 days. You're eliminating all of the known allergic triggers. Allergen triggers, and
you're really trying to flatline your
Right.
glucose and your
Yes.
insulin response.
Yes, you want to be at a neutral stage for your body.
Yeah, and that's hard. I've actually been learning a lot. We're going to talk about it in a little later on about intermittent fasting, and I've been doing a lot of research on it because it's sort of the stage we're at right now, where we're trying to really
not at first.
refine that.
But not at first.
Not at first, definitely, and we'll talk more about that. But understanding the role of sugars and insulin and glucose and glycogen, trying to understand how all these have such a big effect on how you feel.
Right.
And what was crazy about Whole30, so it's 30 days, you're cutting out pretty much all the shit you shouldn't eat.
Right.
All the stuff you shouldn't eat, just don't eat it for 30 days, But it's also
it's not that easy a lot of times.
it's not that easy. That first 10 days when you're sort of coming down off of
whatever it is, whether it's breads, it's the gluten, it's sugar, it's dairy if you love dairy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's whatever your vices are, really.
Our body is so incredibly well designed to find the easiest fuel to run on and use it. And then once you sort of get into this mode of like, hey, I like a lot of carbs, I like a lot of sugar. Well, your body likes a lot of carbs and sugar as well. And, if you think of it, I heard a really interesting analogy the other day. Like, your body can run on either sugars or it can run on fat. It can run on ketones, through ketosis. So, really, sugar is like gasoline. It burns really hot. It burns really easily.
Sure.
It doesn't take much to do anything. And fat, running off of fat is like running your engine on crude oil. There's a whole bunch of processing your body has to do. It has to create, it has to heat, it has to create energy, use energy to create energy.
Right.
And, our bodies are perfectly designed to want to preserve energy at all times. And this has been an interesting journey for me over the last couple of months to understand, the context of how this meat machine is designed to work. And if, I think a lot of people lose context to the historical nature of mankind of, like sugar was not refined sugar is in the history of mankind. It's like minutes old.
Sure.
We've been refining sugar really seriously since the 30s and 40s.
Yeah.
So not even 100 years out of the thousands, or depending on who you're talking to. So our body really likes the sugar. It's easy. It's what it's designed to. It runs really well on. It makes sugar at the end of the day, just so you can have something to. It's what it really tries to run on. But having to switch, as switching off of sugar onto something that is more fat based, you're going to burn that fat. So what was great for us about Whole30 was I had done keto and Atkins in the past, which is like heavy meats and
like
proteins, carnivore type diets. And you can do it for a while, but after a while you're just like, God, sick of freaking meat sucks. Like you just like fat and meat, and it's like, and like you just kind of grosses. At least some people do it and love it.
Yeah.
It sort of just got to the grossed out point. You could never do it.
No.
Because you just don't love meat that much.
No.
So
I have a hard time getting enough protein in on a daily basis with meats. I eat meats. I eat all kinds of meats.
Yeah.
But
as long as it doesn't have any fat or gristle on it.
Yeah. Unless it's bacon.
Unless it's bacon.
Well,
then it's edible. If it's something chewy or slimy, you're just
nope.
We have been at 5-star restaurants, and I've seen my wife like spit something back on her plate. I'm like, really?
Yep.
Like,
100%.
really?
I do it discreetly.
It depends on what it is.
But it's
I've seen you do it in your napkin, and I've seen you just like, like, that's
it depends
gross.
on the location. It depends on where I am, the company.
We had dinner with some friends the other night, and we split a ribeye steak, and they were like, "Oh yeah, we sous vide the steak, and then we grill it with our special wood combo on our grill."
We're like, "Oh, that sounds great."
It sounded great. I'm like,
Let's
"That sounds amazing." I'm always down for a steak, and I got it, and it was super gristly and fatty. And for me, I'm like, I grew up with like eat what you get. And like my grandfather's would also, he'd be like a piece of fat, and you're like, a piece of fat. He goes, no, eat that. I'll make your coat shiny. And I could see, I took a few bites of it, and I was like, that's kind of gristly. And I look out of the corner of my eye. We're just at a nice restaurant, and we're there with friends, and this is like their go-to restaurant. They love it. So, I look over at you out of the corner of my eye. So I couldn't say the
steak is horrible.
Yeah, no, I look at you out of the corner of my eye, and you're like, like you got a big old mouthful of gristle. And I'm like, oh shit, this is not gonna go well. Like,
you knew what was coming.
Know. If it was a restaurant, if it was just you and I would have been like, hey, this is a horrible cut of meat. Yeah. Like, let's try again and tell them to dig a little deeper in the freezer. But I think we were both trying to be good sports because you didn't want to
I was trying to be polite.
I think you did spit some of it out.
Maybe one piece. I didn't spit it. I probably just
politely
removed it from my mouth and put it on my plate. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're ever with us and you see my wife get a look of like a mouthful of something, you're like, she's just like,
that's so funny.
No, it's not going to go well. So sorry, totally off the rails there.
Rabbit trail.
So what the thing we did, I think why Whole30 worked well is it was a really good balance. So it was protein heavy, but you could add in berries. You could add in salads.
Vegetables. Any vegetables, really. Even potatoes. Starchy
potatoes,
vegetables.
I think, for me, were kind of the lifesaver.
Yeah, because they're a little heartier. And with Whole30, they want you to be eating until you're comfortably full, not over full. Yeah. I never felt hungry when we did Whole30.
Strangely, actually, I think maybe this goes to the bigger picture of eating more of a higher protein diet, lower carbs. You actually feel satiated sooner and longer.
Yeah, because it cuts down on your cravings.
Yeah, because your body's kind of work. If you eat stuff that is highly refined, when something's highly refined,
that stuff.
It's like it doesn't take much for your body to go like, okay, I'm done. What's next?
No.
But if you put something in there, like a big chunk of gristle.
Sure. Yeah, sure.
Sure. No. Yeah.
Whole30 was wonderful, and I never felt hungry unless I didn't plan ahead. So I always had to have nuts like available in the car. So I wouldn't, mid-afternoon or running errands or whatever, I wouldn't want to run through a drive-through because I had stomach cravings. I didn't, just hunger pains. I never had that because I always had nuts with me or some protein like a chicken salad or something that I could munch on.
Yeah, or carrots or celery or
but something usually more protein rich.
And we had some protein bars as well that were keto, Whole30 friendly. You didn't love those as much as I did, but those work as well.
Yeah.
So it's not like super restrictive. It's not
it's not. It's
eating dusty, powdery,
packets of artificial food. It's all real food.
It's all real food. And I think for some people that could be like a bit of a turnoff. Like, I have to make stuff.
Well, I think a lot of people are like, well, that's not very convenient for me. That's not easy. That is the conventional wisdom of our time is I want something easy and quick and I don't have to think about it. Well, there's got to be some self-responsibility and accountability with your own health. And it can be easy. It can be quick if you put a little forethought into it.
Yeah.
Like, say, once a week, plan ahead and purchase things that are going to make it easier for you during the week. Having really easily attainable snacks to tide you over to the next meal. And as opposed to not planning and, well, what's the easiest, quickest thing for me? Well, that would be a drive-through. That would be processed fast food.
Right.
And that's when you throw in the towel.
But and I completely agree with you, but I also know, we're both real estate agents and we struggle some days because like we're in the car all day. We're out with clients, we're doing our jobs and we kind of live in our car. Yeah. There were days and there's still days when it's like, I got to eat something. I got a minute. I got 30 minutes between showings here. I got to go eat something. But so really the thing that I think worked really well for us with that, especially when we were starting out with Whole30, is go online, pick out your place. What's your go-to place? And for example, Chick-fil-A. Like, we figured out, like, you can get the grilled chicken cubes, and you can get, what are the things they have? They have salads there.
You can get the salads, but you can substitute the grilled chicken for the breaded.
Yeah.
And no cheese.
And they have a good little salad there.
Sure.
Be careful when you pick the dressing. And, if you can do oil and vinegar or something very low cal is great.
Yeah.
The hard part was for me, I think you too, was like what do they call it? A sunshine now? Is that what it's called? Like,
it's called
Arnold. We call it Arnold Palmer, but I think it's something different now. But it's like, the lemonade with tea or sweet tea, which is like just stupid amounts of sugar.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, if I do this, I'm only going to get unsweetened tea.
Yeah, iced tea.
Yeah.
Iced tea.
So, plan ahead.
Yeah, like when we had client events, or we'd get together with friends and we'd either go to dinner or have a get together at their house. If it were going to dinner somewhere, we would find out the restaurant and we would look online and look at the menu and figure out, okay, these are our top 3 options. This is a better option over this, and I'm not going to choose this. I'm going to choose this over that. So you were mentally prepared walking in.
Yeah, you don't make dumb choices.
You don't make dumb choices, or you just kind of like panic and like order, fettuccine Alfredo or whatever. But also, if we were going to a friend's house, sometimes we would eat a little mini meal of high protein before we'd go.
Yeah.
Whether it was a friend get together or a party or whatever, we would eat a smaller meal before we'd go, so we wouldn't be ravenous when it was time to eat and make poor choices. Then we could maybe take a bite of something and then do the heavy protein that they have there. And sometimes you just have to go with what's there, but you have to do it in moderation.
And that works really well. Like, if like vendor events, because we're in real estate, we do a ton of vendor events. We do a ton of, somebody's always trying to entertain agents with food or booze. I mean, or both. Yeah. And, so if we knew we were going to that and it's like, oh, it's going to be finger foods. Yeah. It's like, man, those are my freaking kryptonite. Finger foods. It's just like,
sometimes they have like, wings or.
They do, but for me, like, if I know I'm going to one of those, because I'm going to network, I'm gonna eat a lot. I'm gonna really try and get filled up, and so when I get there, it's like, I'm not really hungry right now. Yeah, and maybe then you're less likely. Then I'm cool with having some carrot sticks or some something or some wings, and I'm not going for I'll take all 7 of those sliders, or that quesadilla, or my freaking kryptonite for me is chips and salsa. I think they should charge for the chips and salsa and give away the Mexican food for free, because they would make a killing on me. Like, especially when they just keep bringing those damn bowls of chips. It's like, go on,
we love Mexican food.
Yeah,
it's so good. That's our kryptonite.
It is, Mexican food. And we've come up with some really good solutions, the workarounds, and
tips and tricks and
another
hacks.
show we'll do that. Yeah. So, back to like prep. We're at an age now. We're empty nesters. We don't have to. When we have kids, we had to have food. You apparently you have to feed them. They right.
I just keep wanting more meals.
People get upset if you don't feed your kids. Fine, whatever. But we always had food around. But once the kids are gone, it's like none of us. I like to cook. You like to cook, but really, after that, like, we've been cooking for 25 years, like short order cooks for our children for 25 years. So it's like, I don't want to cook.
Kind of want to take a break.
You really got to the point where, like, I don't want to shop. I don't want to go. I don't want to cook. I don't want to do anything. And so we discovered.
That sounds awful.
Well, you know what though? Put it in the comments if you feel our pain, because I think a lot of people get to the same spot where it's like, man, I've been keeping people alive and feeding them and like keeping them from dying for a long time. Exactly. Feeding them and cleaning and doing all that stuff. So it's like, I'm not going to do that anymore.
I deserve a break.
The downside is you just start making like really stupid choices.
Right.
Or what we see a lot too, which people our age in empty nesters, You go to dinner a lot, start eating out, and it becomes kind of this pattern. And man, it's really hard. It is.
Which is, when you eat out, it's super high in sodium.
It's just super high in everything.
And fat
just poor quality generally. Unless you're, because most people aren't going to go out and eat at, Ruth's Chris every week, every night. And maybe they are. We're not doing that. Right. But yeah, it's like generally you're going to your favorite little restaurant.
Right.
And the quality of the food is, it's good.
It's subpar.
It's subpar, but it's also just comfort food.
Yeah, it is.
And you make bad choices.
A lot of times.
So we discovered a service called Green Chef.
Yeah.
And it was great. We tried a couple. We tried the basket. What was the other one?
Blue Basket or something?
Yeah,
Blue
we tried
Basket,
that.
and then we did Home Chef. Home Chef. And then Green Chef is a division of it that's organic produce.
Yeah, healthier fare, more salads and veg. Good, better quality cuts of meat.
Yeah, and less carbs, processed carbs like pastas and rices and stuff.
Well, and what's nice about it is Green Chef is you go and pick your meals that are going to come, and we would do 3 a week. And the week before you go online and you pick out the meal that you want to eat, and they have specifically like keto or low carb
or Mediterranean
or
kid friendly or fast and easy or whatever they call it.
Right, and you got really good at like spotting sometimes it's like rice and they put in the rice and beans and the stuff that's, so we got good at either like not asking for that or just we would buy a bag of cauliflower rice from
and substitute
Costco.
The rice.
If it was rice, we would throw in cauliflower rice,
right?
Which is stupid easy to do. I mean, you're going to cook rice, but you're going to have to boil it either way. You might as well use cauliflower rice. Sure. So, but Green Chef was great.
Yeah.
I mean, they have low carb meals, they have keto meals, and I never was like, it's like the variety and the flavors. And it really actually felt a lot like eating at a restaurant every night.
Right. And the portion controls were wonderful. It was just, because we bought them for 2 meals.
Yes.
2 people, 2 servings.
Right.
And so I knew exactly how to divide it up, and it was done. There was no extra in the pan for someone to go back and keep munching on and have seconds.
Yeah. That's one of my bad habits.
Yeah.
Like, there's still more in there.
That was really, really a plus for us.
I would encourage you to check out Green Chef. Yeah. I mean, they have some trial things. We can put some
we'll put in a link down below
to it,
in the notes, show notes.
And the other thing that was nice about Green Chef is you are a instruction following cooker.
I am.
Yeah, you're great, and it's great, and you follow them to the T. Like
I do,
and I am a scratch. Like
you're from scratch.
We got food. I'm gonna cook. I'm gonna make something.
We have ingredients.
If we got anything in that pantry, I can make a meal out of it.
Yes, you can.
The funny part about that is I usually make pretty good stuff when I do that. And you'll be like, what did you do? What was your recipe for that? I'm
what
like,
did you put in this?
Like, I got nothing. I can tell you the big thing, but I just did it to taste.
Yeah. Can't duplicate it.
No, it's like, she's like, you couldn't help me write that down. I'm like, I just put a dash of this and a pinch of that.
Right.
So, and it was funny because one time we got a Green Chef.
Yeah.
And you were gone for the whole week, and they all came, and I hate following the instructions. So I would just like open all the packages and pour it all into a pan. It's like, it's going to cook down to something or other. So
that makes my heart race just thinking about it. Yeah. I'm like,
you're getting triggered.
I'm getting triggered.
Talking about, So yes, I'm interesting. The Green Chef, they have keto meals, low carb. 68% of meal kit users stick to low carb.
Right.
And it's nice because you're not making bad choices. And we're going to talk about, shopping in a little bit here. And it's really easy to make bad choices in the supermarket. Right. So, but that's, it's interesting.
It makes your meal prep so easy because you know that you have a meal sitting there, and literally most of them take 20 minutes, if that, to make.
Yeah.
And that's completely doable.
The one thing I miss about Green Chef, we have transitioned away. We still do it occasionally, but we have transitioned and now we do more just we're scratch cooking, but the Green Chef is still, we still do them occasionally.
And we did that. We did not do Green Chef during our Whole30 round. We were really strict with that.
Yeah.
But as we transitioned off the Whole30 round, the 30 days, then we incorporated in 3 because we still like to cook and we wanted that variety and creativity option for us on the 4 days that we didn't have meals. So we would either go out with friends or cook at home. And it was wonderful. It was just enough to make it enjoyable, but also gives us a sense of ease on continuing and not going back to our previous ways.
Well, and it took a lot of stress. It took a lot of stress off of you.
Yes, it did.
Because now every day about 4 o'clock, if we're not using something like Green Chef,
right.
It's like every day at 4 o'clock, it's like, did you plan anything for dinner? It's like,
well, we could do.
Yeah. Yeah. And you could eat the same thing every day.
I could. And I guess I'm just waiting for that miraculous chef to appear in my kitchen and make my meals.
Yeah.
For
send miraculous chef, send your resume to Kelly at unconventionallives.com and we'll need you to work for free or something very close to it.
Yeah.
And but you'll have an amazingly entertaining time here at all times.
Right.
So
transitioning from Whole30 into everyday meals with Green Chef, 3 days, 3 meals of the week. You could do more.
We did that for a solid year and a half.
Oh, at least a year and a half.
Yeah, maybe 2 years. Yeah. Because it really it makes life so much easier.
It does.
So highly recommend that.
Yeah, but you can stay and focus and stay on maintenance, really.
Yeah. No, if you love Green Chef, I mean, you're not going to spend any more than you would if you were just going out and buying all those ingredients.
Sure. Yeah.
So, definitely a good thing.
Good option.
So, really, one of the benefits of switching to a low carb diet is insulin. Trying to get your bodies to become more insulin sensitive.
Sure.
So instead of insulin resistant, when you're doing high carbs, high sugar, your body becomes insulin resistant, and it really it just takes all that extra sugars and packs it in carbs and makes fat out of it.
Yeah.
So
and then you store it as fat.
Yeah. And going back to what we were talking about earlier, I was talking about earlier about the sort of looking at mankind over. I mean, really, we've in the last 100 years, things have kind of really changed in terms of our diets, just because of manufactured food and processed food. So, having in 1,000 years ago, like if your body had any extra calories, it would pack it away for fat. Yeah, because you needed that, especially if you lived in warmer or cooler climates, especially people with European descent where it snows and it's cold. Like if you didn't have those fat reserves, you died.
Yeah, you could perish through that winter.
Yeah. So for all of us, I'm Scottish, you're Irish. For all of us cold weather folks, like. You have to kind of like give your body props, and your genetics props because you're here because you were able to put on fat.
Sure. And
you didn't die in a cold winter because you could put on fat. So high five to you for being able to pack on that fat.
Right.
In today's society, it's not necessary, at least at this point in our society, it's not necessary to, put on fat stores so you can survive the winter.
Right.
Now it's just a genetic holdover that we don't love. Right. So understanding your insulin, it's a really, I've been doing a lot of research on this and understanding how to keep that flat, how to not get those insulin spikes where your body goes, okay, hey, we've got too much sugar in the system. We've got to start putting it away somewhere. Right. So, trying to keep that flat and keep your body in burning fats versus burning carbohydrates.
Right.
So that you are constantly packing away the fat and just running on the gasoline and forget the crude oil. Yeah. We'll put the crude oil right here in your belly section.
Your midsection.
Yeah, and hang on to that for later in a rough time.
Yeah.
So trying to get your body into a mode where it's able to, it's not fully dependent on those carbohydrates is a big deal.
It is a big deal.
And you can get to that point pretty quickly. Inside of 30 days, you can you can switch your body from running off of carbohydrates and sugars to fats. And your body has the ability to do that. And it's really honestly designed to run that way. And the other way is just sort of a treat for your body.
Well, and you feel so much better when you're at that state because you don't have that big up, down roller coaster, the peaks and valleys. And you don't have the go, and then you crash and you just feel horrible. And then it's this perpetuating cycle because once you're down and you feel horrible, then you just want to, kind of eat your sorrows away. And it's usually with sugary and, spiking things. And then you're up again and down. And it's just this cycle.
Yeah. And there are things in the beginning, like we just had to decide, like, we're not doing those anymore.
Right.
I think bread was a big one.
Bread was a big one.
But it's interesting now we've been able to add bread, some small amounts of bread. We have some really high quality sourdough that we add into our for our breakfast, just because we're working on now trying to build muscles, and you need the carbs to burn help your muscles rebuild, so they don't do dumb things and like eat themselves.
But at first, we really did eliminate all carbs.
It still feels weird eating bread.
It does.
It's like I feel like you're like cheating on yourself, like I'm a bad person.
Right.
So yeah, I think, and it's working. It's working because we haven't gained. We're still losing.
We're still losing, and we're building muscle. So it's definitely been effective. And I think as we've almost 3 years into our journey in keeping off our weight and building muscle and educating ourselves with nutrition and just optimizing our vitality, we've made adjustments. So like I said earlier, we love Mexican food, and we've always loved Mexican food and homemade Mexican food.
Well, both growing up in Southern California.
Oh, yeah.
Some of the best, amazing Mexican food is there.
Is there. And once you get used to that, we would have Mexican food. Gosh, we would make Mexican food probably 2-3 times a week.
Yeah.
But the thing is, we'd always have rice, and we'd always have beans, and we'd have flour tortillas and lots of cheese, lots of sour cream. And we still love Mexican food. We don't have it very often anymore. We have it maybe once every couple weeks.
Yeah.
And we've switched. So the hacks we've done is we want to still enjoy that cuisine. So instead of the flour tortillas, we will have straight corn tortillas. We don't fry them. We don't do rice and beans. Usually we don't do either. We
rarely do rice or beans.
Right.
Every
And
once in a while,
I used to make my
beans.
own refried beans.
Yeah.
And now if we have beans, it's black beans, and you have them. I don't have them. It's just protein, veg, corn tortillas, usually fresh guacamole.
Yeah.
And it's been great. And now we don't feel like we are depriving ourselves of Mexican food, because we love Mexican food, which is great. Yeah. And you don't want to be in this state of, I can't eat that ever again. It's like you can. You just have to be cognizant of the choices that you make and how you consume it.
Well, and that actually probably brings up a good point in terms of the eating in a healthy way is something a choice you make.
Yeah.
And you do, but you know what? It doesn't mean like we're never going to, have dessert again.
Sure.
Or we're never going to, we're always going to just eat in this very strict manner. No. Some people do that, and if that works for you, like you do you, boo. Like
right.
But for me, like I had a moment the other day.
I know what you're gonna say.
So I work with a lot of, I'm a real estate agent. We work with a lot of estates sometimes, and I have a new estate that I'm working with, and we're getting ready to sell all of the estate's rental properties.
Right.
And so I had to go look at 3 of them, and they were rough.
Rough. Capital R.
Like, oh my gosh. And the people were still in them, and
like hoarder level,
and rough. just, and it was hard because they were in they were in a really rough part of town. They were elderly and, hadn't taken good care of themselves, and lots of just stuff. I mean, like hoarder kind of levels. And it was like, gosh, it was hard for me because I knew, like, I was there to check out the property, and they were like, are we going to have to move? Like, we've lived here for a long time. And so it's like, I don't know the answer to your question, but, I'm just here to figure out what the value of the property is. And, but it's like, I know, like, this isn't, you're going to end up not here anymore.
Right.
And that was stressful for me on times 3. And then, and so I had this, like, I had done 2 of them.
Yeah,
I got through 2
properties.
And I'm like, oh, I need a cup of coffee. It was like afternoon. It was like 2:00. I usually have a cup of coffee in the afternoon. And I'm like, got out my phone. I'm like, coffee near me. And it was like Panera Bread, 0.8 of a mile down the street. I'm like, sweet, Panera Bread. I love their hazelnut coffee. I'll go get a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
So I go over there, and I'm just like, I'm driving over there. I'm like, I call her. I'm like, oh my God, like, this has been a rough afternoon. And she's like, hang in there. And I get there, I walk up to the counter, and right there, right freaking next to the counter is my all-time favorite, like cherry Danish.
Cherry
and
Danish.
It's the cherry with the cream cheese filling. And I'm like, okay, give me that freaking Danish right there, sir.
You caved.
I totally
caved to the stress.
Oh my gosh, it was like, ugh. And then I had this, I sat down, I'm like, okay, I need to like call, I need to phone a friend.
Phone a friend. So you took a picture.
I took a picture of it. I'm like, it's been a rough afternoon here.
He sent it to me and said, it's been a rough afternoon. That's all he said.
Yeah, I'm eating a cherry Danish.
Yeah.
Don't judge me.
Don't judge me. And I was like, okay.
Okay.
I knew exactly what you had been going through.
Yeah. Yep. And so, I didn't die.
You didn't die.
Actually, you know what, though? I gained a pound, and I felt kind of shitty the rest of the afternoon.
I gained a pound.
It is interesting when you don't eat that kind of highly processed, sugary stuff. When you do eat it, you're just kind of like, whoa.
Right.
Like your stomach's kind of like, what the actual are you doing?
Well, I think your cortisol levels were probably through the roof
was
because of your
stressed.
stress.
Between the stress and
so it was like, I'm holding on to this for dear life.
Yeah. So it was like, I'm eating
But you got through it.
I got through it.
Yeah.
So but that actually brings us into kind of our next topic, which is shopping. And we talked about it a little bit earlier. You get to the point where you're just like, don't want to shop, don't want to go to the store, don't want to do any of that. And we've come to a point now, we actually enjoy shopping together.
We do.
And we do it pretty, I don't remember the last time like you just went by yourself.
No.
I kind of enjoy it now.
Yeah. I never really liked shopping with you because you have to go through every aisle.
Well, because I was just looking for shit to eat.
Oh my gosh.
Stuff I shouldn't.
Like, I got a list and I'm on a mission right now. But now it's different. So,
but there are some rules. First and foremost, like don't go shopping at like noon or like 4:00
when you're hungry.
Anywhere, but it's like whether you're going to a health food store or a healthy alternative store or big box,
at dinner time.
Or at dinner time,
5 o'clock, 4:30, 5 o'clock.
Right. So we try and go in the morning after
busy.
you have a good breakfast, and then you're not hungry. You're like getting what you need, not the stuff your body's going, those Cheetos look really nice right there. Like,
you're setting yourself up for making better choices.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Unless they have strawberry cream cheese Danish, and then all that's
cherry.
off. Or cherry.
Cherry.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Cherries. Yes. So, one of the things we always recommend to our people we're talking with and helping and counseling is change your store.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times you kind of stop and you start to forget, like supermarkets are designed to sell you stuff you shouldn't be eating.
To upsell you.
All the end caps and all the stuff, that sort of is, you should, there's things you need and there's the things that are like,
$5 for $1. Why would I not buy that?
Yeah. Even our store does that as well.
Sure.
And I get sucked in every now and then, but we go to Sprouts.
We do go to Sprouts.
Which
it's more of a health food.
I think health food stores, that just makes things like it's granola.
Yeah, it's kind of like Whole Foods, Sprouts, Henry's in some parts of the country.
Yeah.
I don't know if Aldi is like that or not, but I think it's more of a market.
Piggly
so
Wiggly.
we kind of we kind of avoid bigger grocery stores. There are certain staples that we like to get at like a big box, like
we'll go to Costco, but
because they have a lot of organic
yes
things. And
actually, one of the nice things about going to Costco is like, okay, if I go to a place that has a cherry Danish, and I'm like, I can just have that one cherry Danish, and nobody will know. That's one thing. You go to Costco, it's like, okay, shit, I got to buy 37 cherry Danishes.
Right, that's not a good choice.
Yeah, it's like, okay,
might want to pass on.
I'm gonna feel really. This is gonna end badly. like
every day for 36 days.
Yeah, it's like, or like, it's so a lot of times they put all the, like, if it's something you shouldn't be eating, you got to buy a lot of it.
You got to buy a lot of it.
So it's really hard to okay, I could get away with one, but
it's also really important. I know that the couples that we have coached prior to now, we've always said to them, mix it up, go to a different store, because you get in the same routine. If you're constantly going down the chip aisle, after you go through the veggies or whatever it is, you're going to go and pick up the same chips that you always have. And if you go to a new store, there's a new pattern that you can set. There's a new rhythm to the store that you can follow. And it's worked tremendously for our clients.
And then I say about too, going to someplace like Sprouts is like most of the chips you don't recognize. It's not Cheetos and Doritos and Ruffles and Lay's and all of the stuff that you see in the chip aisle, and you're like, no, those are my favorites. But it's like cheesy puffs.
No, you should. Going in the chip aisle is probably not.
We
the
try
best
and avoid.
idea.
Here's the best advice: stay out of the chip aisle.
Yes, stay out of the chip aisle,
because it's a good way to get into trouble.
Yeah.
So, but going to
there's definitely less options. There's less, less stumbling blocks in a smaller store. I always find that I buy less. I don't overspend. I don't impulse buy if I go to a smaller grocery store than a larger, like a superstore.
Oh yeah. Well, and it's interesting for us too, because even going, like, every once in a while we have to go to Walmart, and it's just that we have one down the street, and it's easy to go to if we need to grab something quickly. And
there's certain items.
Yeah, it's like, I need batteries. Okay, and then you'll be like, oh, and go grab something in the food department. And then I'm like going down memory lane. It's like, oh, Little Debbie's. I love her. So it's like, dang it.
No, we don't buy
so
Little
yeah,
Debbie's.
try and avoid that.
Right.
No Little Debbie's. So going to a different store is a big one. I think the other thing you can do, which is super worked out really well for us, is make a list.
Oh, yes. You have to make a list.
Yeah, whether you use your a paper list or your notes app, or you use an actual app for our list. And
it's called AnyList.
AnyList, yeah. And you can go in and say, you can put in, like, these are all the things that we buy here regularly. And you can just say +1, +1, +2. And if you have a list when you walk in the store, you're way less likely to just kind of do like I like to do and just wander down the aisles and oh, that one. Yeah. Oh, that looks good.
You're less likely to go rogue.
Yeah.
In the store.
Yeah. Don't go hungry and have a list.
Yeah.
Switch up your store.
Yep.
That's a big one because it's all different. It's a little bit like frustrating at first, but you really does force you to you're not going to fall into all those little like honey holes that you're like, all the good stuff's on this aisle.
Yeah.
So so that's one of the things we coach folks is like, switch it up. Go in prepared. Yep. Don't go in hungry.
And also, right now when we're recording this, it's summer. So if you're in an area that has a farmer's market in your local area, or more than one, go to those for sure and peruse what produce is available, what meats, what cheeses are available, etc. at these farmers markets.
Yeah, and find local artisans. I mean, like we go to a bake. We don't buy bread at the market just because mass-produced bread,
ultra processed.
Didn't want to do that. We found an amazing little bakery here that does sourdough primarily, but they do other kind of breads as well. It's a small little bakery. There's always a line out front.
Always a line,
and it's called Nightingale Bakery, and it has the best sourdough, and it's. They just do a great job.
Yeah, and you're shopping local,
and
which
we're
is
supporting
nice.
our local.
One tip, though, if you're going to any farmers markets in your area, just because there's produce being sold at the farmers market, doesn't necessarily mean that it's from a local farmer. So be sure to ask questions of your farmers that are selling produce, your artisans that are selling produce, whatever, talk to them, have conversations, ask them about their growing practices. And here's a big red flag, because we speak from experience. We used to work 3 farmers markets a week, actually, when we used to have our farm. And if you ever go to a farmer's market and at the produce stand, and I'm speaking from a Colorado perspective, if you go there and there's citrus or bananas, if there's items that don't grow in the region or zone that you live in, then that's not local. And we've seen some pretty interesting characters arrive with cartons of produce from big box stores, and they unload it and sell it as if they've grown it themselves. So I'm not saying all farmers at farmers markets do that, but they just be aware and ask questions and get to know your farmers. I mean, it's wonderful to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And we love that when our clients ask us questions and we, said, come out to our farm, So
Bananas don't grow in Colorado.
no, they do not. So there should not be any bananas in Colorado farmers.
I mean, if it's
markets.
like we're a local farmers market, we're a local farmer. It's like, and look at these beautiful bananas we brought today. It's like, okay, I'm gonna call bullshit on you right there.
So just
Like,
become
we're not
educated.
doing
Just
that.
become educated and take ownership and value the food that you're preparing for yourself and for your small family, and enjoy them, because there's a lot of great producers out there that work really, really hard and are producing some phenomenal foods.
Oh yeah.
So,
Some great artisan foods.
Yeah.
Lastly, we want to talk about, this is actually sort of something that's new for us. So there really are these sort of phases, and we really wanted to talk about, how we did it. So the Whole30 low carb diets, some of the things we've talked about, how we've chosen to eat over the last several years. And now we're actually in a point where we're trying, myself probably more than you, but trying to like get that last 10 pounds and put on without losing muscle, working out, trying to like just refine.
Lean down and build up muscle for strength and longevity.
Yeah. And so I've, in the last several months, have discovered intermittent fasting.
Right.
And that's really fascinating. I'm going to put a big disclosure right here at the beginning.
Yeah.
Like if you're on day 1 and you're like, oh, you know what? Craig said we can do intermittent fasting.
No.
And like, you are not going to be a happy camper. It's not a bad thing, but if your body is in a mode of burning carbs, and sugars and not fat,
processed foods. And
you're fasting. Your body's going to be like you just took away all the fuel for your body, and your body is going to be pissed off at you.
It's going to rebel. You need to really work into this.
You do. And
you need the foundations first.
You do. And I would say, anytime after you do Whole30 or you've done several months of a low carb diet, your body's used to burning fats, and you can then do this and start trying intermittent fasting. I've done
strength training
and it's more than just weight loss. I mean, I think do your homework. We'll put some links in the show notes to a couple of different content creators that I really like. And like I have now done several 24-hour, and I just finished this last weekend a 48-hour fast. So just water with electrolytes, and that was it. And coffee. And coffee, yes.
Coffee.
Yeah.
Coffee or herbal tea.
2 cups of coffee per day, 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon. Because I like coffee. And it's not bad for you. And you just did your first 24-hour one.
I did do my first
which was
24-hour.
amazing.
It's amazing because I always thought I never could do fasting.
Yeah, the fact that you did it for 24 hours, because usually like you go like 24 minutes without eating, and it's like, man, you better keep your head down.
Yeah, like a little hummingbird.
You are like a little hummingbird. You got to eat. But I think a lot of that was based on those carb high and lows, those insulin spikes
and dips.
And so I
thought it was great. I thought the 24-hour, I had to keep busy.
You were obnoxiously busy.
I was.
You had a ton of energy.
Because I did have a lot of energy, which was great. That was a huge benefit from it. But I also know my limitations, and I know that idle hands make, what is that phrase? I can't remember the phrase, but that was me. And I knew that if I just sat around doing nothing, I'd be constantly thinking about food.
Put it in the comments if you know the idle hands.
Idle hands make something, I can't remember. But anyways, so I knew I had to keep busy. I had to keep my water that had my Himalayan salt in it. Was it Himalayan salt? Not Himalayan salt.
It was Baja Gold.
Baja Gold
same
salt.
Thing.
So I needed that with me, and I drank a lot of water that day, and I just needed to keep busy and not think about food. And before long, I'd say probably after 12 hours, maybe 12, 16 hours, I was like, oh, okay, I could just totally keep going on this.
Yeah. And I did keep going. I went another day.
Yeah, you did.
And you had a lot of energy the next day. Annoyingly so the next day.
Oh my
so
gosh.
I was doing 48 hours.
Oh my gosh.
And actually I felt great. I slept great for that second night. And then I kind of hit the wall. Around noon, and I'm like, I gotta go lay. I just went and laid down, took a little nap. It was the weirdest nap because my brain was fully active, and all it was like thinking about food. It was just, I was like rerunning the what I was going to eat at 5 o'clock. I was like, stop.
Yeah, right.
It's like, please stop. And the last 5 hours was brutally slow. I was like,
But I think it'll be easier next time too for you.
I think so. I mean, my goal is to work up to a 72 hour. That's that's what I wanted to try and do. And you can't do those all the time.
But there were some really good benefits to it. I was quite surprised, actually.
I think the thing that was really interesting is, it puts your body into this really interesting state where like you're not hungry the whole time, really. I mean, your body kind of stops pestering you about food, and because it knows, this is once again that sort of throwback to like, caveman Craig. It's like your body kind of goes into this like, okay, like we need to figure out how to find food, and it puts you in that mode. You get a lot of energy.
Yeah.
It creates this, you go into this mode of like called autophagy, where your body just kind of goes out and finds all the old junk laying around and eats it essentially. Yeah. So like, old sort of dead or dying cells. Any kind of viruses or, bacteria, it really just goes after with a vengeance. And
like a Roomba.
Yeah, it is like a Roomba. So it was really good. I felt really good afterwards.
Yeah.
I mean, I was hungry. Yeah.
But you did. But neither of us overate on our first meal off the fast.
No.
I ate our normal protein and veg.
Yeah.
And I was totally satisfied and satiated, and didn't feel like I was lacking on anything. That's for sure. And
and now we just started this week. So we're doing kind of what they call a 16-8 fast. Sure. So, where essentially you have an 8-hour window that you're going to eat in 16 hours, primarily over, evening, overnight, and back into the next morning that you don't eat. So your body gets into this sort of flatline insulin and sort of rests your gut. Yeah. So we're trying that right now. I'm down. I lost 5 pounds from that fast.
And body fat.
And my body fat percentage did drop. Yeah. So about a point. So I'm hopeful that it'll just kind of keep moving forward.
But I think it was a really good reset just for your whole system to get that every so often. I've never really thought of it in that light before. I've always thought of it as deprivation. Why would I fast when I'm going to get lightheaded and I'm not going to be able to eat all the things that I like to eat, and it's not going to be fun? And it was just all negative. And now I went into it with you, with the support, because you were doing it as well. And I had a totally different mindset. And I think that's really important to keep at the front of your mind is your mindset on this whole thing, and realizing what you're actually doing. You're not doing it to deprive yourself of food or the things that you enjoy. It's to give your body a chance to reset and to rest, give your digestive system a break. Yeah. And looking at it that way was really eye-opening for me, and it felt good, and I felt much more energized.
Yeah, because your body's not busy digesting food. You have all this extra blood. Your body's like, okay, let's get to work.
Yeah, it was really fascinating.
Yeah, if you want to clean your house like super, do it fast. Because man,
cleaning bug came out of me.
Scrubbed the hell out of this house. I was like, she's going. Yeah. And I'm thinking like, I got another day of fasting. So like, you do you, boo.
Yeah. He wasn't doing any cleaning.
I cleaned the car.
You did.
Yeah. So,
Oh my God.
All right. We covered a lot of ground on this.
I know.
I mean, I think what I want people to come away with from this talk is it's not an all or one. It is steps.
Yeah.
There are steps to kind of get yourself into this. I think the biggest mistake a lot of people make is they like, okay, I'm going to do a low carb diet, or I'm going to just eat meat, or I'm going to like cut out all sugar. And
the extreme.
You're going to feel kind of crappy for a couple of days, 8 to 10 days.
Yeah.
So, and they give up. It's like, I'm not doing that again. That was no fun. Like my body didn't like that.
Right.
So, you should, there's a way to do this.
Sure.
So,
and take it from, two everyday kind of people that we just every day make unconventional choices one day at a time to continue our journey and to make our vitality stronger and better each and every day.
Yep.
So, and we can, talk more about the 4 pillars that we strongly believe in, but we do have an ebook that talks all about the 4 pillars of our journey and how it can help you fit over 50 ebook.
Yep.
So
keep an eye out for that. It's going to be ready here in a few days, and we'll put it out there. It'll be free for everybody. So
yeah, absolutely. And that'll be a great guide for y'all.
So thank you for tuning in. If you love the show, hit the like button, write us a review. We appreciate that. And go out there and have an unconventional, amazing life.
Bye-bye. The views and opinions shared on this podcast are our own and reflect our personal experiences and beliefs. We encourage listeners to take what resonates with them and to seek professional advice where needed, especially in matters related to health, fitness, relationships, and parenting. Our conversations are candid, unfiltered, and intended to inspire, but they may not be suitable for all audiences. Always remember, what works for us may not work for everyone, and your journey is uniquely your own.